Hello young friends, welcome to my class. I am Javashri Ghosh, teacher in Demonstration Multipurpose School, Bhubaneswar. I take immense pleasure in interacting with my unseen kids of class 5. Children, as you know, we are in a position where due to this pandemic, we are not able to go to school. But don't worry, where there's a will, there's a way. We teachers are always ready to help you all and reach you all. So, for today's class, I'm going to narrate an adventurous story. So, children, get ready with your books if you have a notebook and a pen. Okay, let's see. You will find certain pictures and guess the topic. Here we will see the picture of a shipwreck. What is shipwreck? When the ship is destroyed by the sea due to storm or some accidents. You are seeing an island. You know what is an island? A piece of land that is being surrounded by water from four sides. You are seeing the picture of a cave where the wild animals in the forest dwell or stay. Here, next you are seeing the picture of a sailor of 17th and 18th century. A sailor is a person who goes on sea voyages or journey. Next, you are seeing a large footprint. Now just guess the topic. Those who have the books, they can guess it well. But don't worry, I have the name of the chapter with me. Robinson Crusoe discovers a footprint. This is adapted from Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. Daniel Defoe, born Daniel Defoe, was an English writer, journalist, trader and spy. He is most famous for his novel Robinson Crusoe, published in 1719, which is claimed to be the second only to the Bible in its number of translations. That is, this novel, Robinson Crusoe, was so famous or so popular, it had been translated into several languages as Bible. Robinson Crusoe is a novel by Daniel Defoe. It was first published on 25th April 1719. It is a book, an autobiography of Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe belonged to a middle-class family. His father wanted him to be a lawyer, but he went on sea voyages against his parents' will. He was very much interested in sea journeys and he wanted to be an adventurer. He spent lots of years in sea voyages. There he had to face lots of disaster and shipwrecks. He spends 28 years on a remote tropical desert island near the coast of Venezuela. During this time, he encounters cannibals, captives and mutineers. Somehow he was rescued from them. The story had been thought of to be based on the life story of Alexander Selkirk. He was a Scottish castaway who lived for 4 years on Pacific island called Masatera, now part of Chile, which was renamed as Robinson Crusoe Island in 1966. Crusoe once joins an expedition to bring slaves from Africa, but his ship is wrecked in a storm on the island. He calls that island Island of Despair on 30th September 1659. Now he is on that island alone where this incident takes place. Let's see, children. Robinson Crusoe discovers a footprint from Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. Robinson's Crusoe ship had been destroyed by the sea. He had been alone for many years and longed for a company. One day, he discovers a footprint on the sand. Let's find out what he did then. Here in this book, in this story, you will find that Robinson Crusoe, as if he's writing a diary or he's narrating his story. See here, one day when I was going towards my boat, I was surprised to see the footprint of a man on the sand. I was amazed. I listened. I looked around me. I could neither hear nor see anything. I went up higher to look down. I went up the shore and down the shore. But it was no good. I could find no other footprint but that one. I went to it again to see if there were any more footprints and to tell if it had been my imagination. But I was not mistaken, for there was exactly the print of a foot. Toes, heel, every part of a foot. I could not imagine how it came there. Children, one day when Robinson Crusoe was going towards his boat, which he had kept near the shore, he saw a large footprint on the sand. He was quite amazed, surprised, and astonished to see that. He tried to listen. He looked around, but he could not find anything. To have a better look, he went top of the hill. From there, he looked around. He tried to listen, but of no use. Now, he thought his might be imagining about that footprint. It might be his imagination, he is thinking something. But actually, when he came near it, he saw that it was not his imagination, neither he was mistaken. It was actually a footprint, exact footprint, like it had all parts, the toes, the heel, and other parts of the foot. Now he was sure that it was not just his imagination, but a reality. He was seeing a footprint. Now, children, let's see. Here we have come across certain new words. Let's find out the meaning of these new words. The new words are amazed. Amazed, as I've told you, he was surprised, astonished. Imagination. Thinking of something which is not real, that you people also do, don't you? Sometimes you think you are a beautiful Cinderella, you are fairy, or you're Iron Man, Avenger, all those things. These are your imaginations. Mistaken. To have a wrong opinion or judgment about something. Okay, children? Let's move to the next page. Till now, Robinson Crusoe was confused like what he had seen. Actually, it was a footprint. He could find all the parts of a foot. Now what happens? I stayed a long time thinking, but became more and more confused. At last, I returned home very frightened, looking behind me after every 2 or 3 steps, mistaking every bush and tree to be a man. When I came to my cave, which I called my castle, I ran inside it, as if I was being chased. I don't remember whether I used the ladder or went in by the hole in the rock, which I called the door. I ran for cover faster than any animal could run. Now in this paragraph, what happens, children? He stayed there looking at the footprint for a long time. The more he saw it, more he got confused. Now he's getting frightened. He runs towards his cave. He calls his cave a castle. What is a castle, children? Castle is a big palace. it is surrounded by walls, big walls, to get protection from the enemies. Now as Robinson Crusoe was going, after every 2 or 3 steps he was looking back. He was so scared. He was imagining every tree, every bush to be a man, and he has a feeling that he is being followed or chased by somebody. So he started running towards his cave, and he was so scared. He doesn't remember whether he gets into his cave using a ladder or through the hole, which he calls it a door. Now children, we have come across certain new words. Let's see the meaning of these new words. As you know, frightened means afraid. Castle, as I have discussed, a big palace surrounded by walls. And ladder, it's an equipment to climb up and down. It can be made up of metal, it can be made up of rope, or it can be made up of wood. See here, castle, the picture of a castle, and picture of a wooden ladder. As you know children, when you are quite scared, when you are fearful, when you are afraid, you don't get a proper sleep. This happens with Robinson Crusoe too. Now when Robinson Crusoe comes to his cave, see what happens to him. I did not sleep that night. The more I thought about what I had seen, the more afraid I became. I thought it could be one of the savages of the mainland who had wandered out to the sea in a small boat. Luckily, I was not on shore at that time. But what if he had seen my boat? If he had seen the boat, he would have realized that someone lived on the island and would soon return with others to kill and eat me. Now same thing happened with Robinson. He was so scared. He could not sleep that night. He kept on thinking about that footprint. The more he thought of that footprint, more he got confused and scared. Now he thinks that the footprint would be of one of the savages from the mainland. What does he mean by savages? Means wild people. One of the wild people from the other island or the other extended part of that island might have come to the sea. Now he was too scared. Now he feels that he's lucky. He was not on that shore and he has not seen him. But suddenly he realizes that his boat was there. If that savage might have seen his boat, then he would have known that somebody is staying in the island. Thinking of this, he became very fearful. He thinks that savage will come with other friends, will kill him and eat him. So, thinking of this, he was so scared and he started worrying what to do next. Here we have the meaning of some difficult words. Savage, wild people or the primitive people. Then comes mainland. It is the large continuous extent of land. Then realized. Become fully aware of something. Now since he was so fearful, what he did? And so I lay fearful for many days and prayed for protection. In doing so, I was much comforted and began going out to investigate. But even now, as I went forward, I looked behind me frequently because I was still very frightened. However, as I went about for 2 or 3 days and saw nothing, I became a little bolder. I decided to go down to the shore again and examine the footprint once more. I decided to measure it with my own footmark. Now, as you know, he is so scared. what happened? He was there in his cave praying for protection. You know, children, when you are too scared or when you are fearful, you wanted to save yourself, you start praying. Here also Robinson Crusoe prayed God to keep him safe or protect him. After a few days, what happened? He felt quite comfortable after the continuous prayers and all. He felt quite comfortable. Now, he feels that he should go out and investigate that. What is investigation, children? As you know, the police investigates the case, the CBI investigates the crime cases. What is that? To know details about that, to examine. Here also Robinson Crusoe wants to go to that part of the shore and investigate or examine the footprint, to know details about the footprint. Now, this he did for 2 or 3 days. He became quite bolder. As he saw nothing happen to him, he got little bit of courage. Gathering that courage, he thought nothing is there. I will go there and re-examine. Robinson Crusoe now thought, why not compare that footprint with his own? Now let's see what he does. As I came closer to the footprint, I realized that it could not be my footprint. I had not come to this part of the beach since a long time. Secondly, as I placed my foot alongside the footprint, it seemed larger than my own. My fear returned. I went home again, believing that there was someone there. The island was inhabited. Children, as he came nearer to the footprint, now children, when Robinson Crusoe came nearer to the footprint, he compared that footprint with his. Now he was sure that that footprint doesn't belong to him. There were 2 reasons. One, that footprint was much larger than his own footprint. And secondly, he had not been to that part of the shore for long. How can it be his footprint? Now he realized that what he had seen is real, a footprint, and someone was there in the island. Apart from him, somebody else was present in that island. Thinking of this, he was really scared. Now he was confirmed that the island was inhabited. Means somebody else was also present in the island. Now children, just think of his condition. At first, we had known that he longed for a company. But now, when he sees somebody else is there in the island, he's scared. It's human psychology. Okay, children? In this part of the story, what we have done, let's just have a recapitulation. First, Robinson Crusoe goes to the shore near his boat. There he sees a footprint. He was scared about that footprint because he thought some savage from the mainland had come. They would kill him and eat him. But later on, he got little, after lots of prayers, he got little courageous and bolder. He went and investigated that footprint. But after investigation, he was sure that that footprint was someone else. It did not belong to him, as his foot was smaller and he had not been there for long. Now he was sure that the island was occupied or inhabited by someone else. Let's go for the question answer now. Inhabited means occupied or dwelt in. Now children, keep your pens and notebooks ready. What made Robinson Crusoe think that the print on the ground was a footprint? I know you know the answer. Robinson Crusoe thought so because it was exactly the print of a foot. Toes, heel, every part of a foot were present. Our next question. Why was Robinson afraid when he looked at the bushes and trees? Robinson was afraid when he looked at the bushes and trees because he was imagining them to be men who were chasing him. Why did Robinson pray when he saw the footprint? Robinson thought the footprint belonged to a savage from mainland. The savage might come with others to kill and eat him, so he prayed for protection. Why was Robinson sure that it was not his footprint? As we have discussed, you know the answer, children. He was sure that it was not his footprint because it looked larger than his and he had not come to that part of the beach for long. Now, children, we will find certain exercises. We have some jumbled words. You have to make a proper, meaningful sentence out of that. Alone was not Robinson and Allen on. Robinson was not alone on an island. Was island inhabited? The sentence is the island was inhabited. Here you have words like footprint, to, someone, this, belong. This footprint belonged to someone. I around me looked. The sentence is I looked around me. I went towards footprint large. The proper sentence is I went towards the large footprint. Words are was, afraid, I now. Here you can make two sentences. Both are correct. I was afraid now. Now I was afraid. Now we have certain fill in the blanks from the content. I was frightened, dash curious. We have I was frightened but curious. I decided to go to the beach, dash I went along the water's edge. So, I ran as fast as I could because I was frightened. I was tired and confused. Children, here we finish the chapter Robinson Crusoe. In this chapter, you have seen that Robinson Crusoe was scared or he was feeling fearful due to something unknown. He had seen the footprint, but he had not known whose footprint was there. Just beyond the chapter, I want to tell you something. The fear of unknown is also known as xenophobia. It's fear of foreign things. Now, Robinson Crusoe in this chapter, he had a feeling that he is being chased, someone was continuously with him, or someone was following him. But children, have you ever realized that there is always someone with you? Let's see who is with you. What do we see here? Here you are seeing a bulb, that is light, a pot, flower pot, and certain black pictures. Here you are seeing the hands and certain black pictures. What are these? These are shadows. Now children, we are going to read an interesting poem, My Shadow. In this poem, the child is very much curious about his shadow. He doesn't know actually what a shadow is, but is too much fantasized and excited about it. He sees that the shadow, sometimes it grows taller, sometimes it becomes shorter, and sometimes it follows, and sometimes it is ahead. Now, let's see what the poem says. This poem is written by R.L. Stevenson. R.L. Stevenson was born on 13 November 1850 and he lived up to 3rd December 1894. He was a Scottish novelist and travel writer, most noted for Treasure Island, Kidnapped, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Mr. Hyde, and The Child's Garden of Verses. These were his popular creations. My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. Do you know, whenever there is light, someone follows you? Have you ever wondered who it is? My shadow. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. Here in the first stanza, the child is very much fascinated about his shadow. He is so curious about his shadow. He sees that the shadow always follows him. Like when he goes out, shadow is there. When he comes in, shadow is there. This shadow is always accompanying him. He is connected with the shadow from the heel which grows up to this head. Now he feels that since the shadow is before him or ahead of him, when he jumps into the bed, the shadow jumps first before he does. He has some exciting experiences with his shadow. The second stanza says, the funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoots up taller like an India rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's none of him at all. He has some funny experiences about his shadow. He sees that the shadow goes taller and taller, unlike a general children who grow. The growth of general child, what he sees around is slower, but shadow grows very taller. He sometimes feel that like the India rubber ball which bounces up and down, the shadow also become taller. And sometimes the shadow is so short that it is not at all seen. The child is really very confused that how come the shadow grows taller then becomes shorter unlike anything else around him. He is very much confused, excited and curious about his shadow. One morning very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepy head, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in. Here, children, the boy is had a different experience with his shadow now. One morning he gets up before the sun rises. He goes out and he sees dew drops on the buttercup. Buttercup is a yellow flower. You are seen in the picture, the yellow flowers are the buttercups. And he is very much happy and he sees excited that for the very first time his shadow is not with him. Now he says his shadow is a lazy fellow. He is still in the bed. He is so lethargic. He has come out of the bed and is enjoying the morning. Whereas his shadow, being a lethargic, lazy fellow, he is still in the bed at home. Okay. Now children, we have certain new words like buttercup, it's a yellow flower. Indian rubber ball, a ball that can bounce very high. Errant means bad, completely, absolutely. Sleepyhead, inattentive, lazy, leisurely and lethargic. Now let's see certain questions. Who do you think your shadow looks like? I think my shadow looks like me. Why do you think your shadow jumps into the bed before you can? When I go near my bed, my shadow falls on the bed before I can get into the bed. My shadow is ahead of me. What time of the day do you think when your shadow is the tallest, and it's why? I think the shadow is tallest in the morning, because in morning the sun, that is the light, is far away from the earth. This is all about shadow, children. This finishes your Unit 3. Thank you, children, to be patient. Now, stay home and stay safe. Thank you.